Welcome back to Rise with Dr. Priya. You're in the right place. Tonight, I want to do something a little bit informal. Bring the conversation outside, allow the fresh air to inspire us and connect us. There are two things I think are really important about relationships, and I'd like to share that in this video. The two most basic, important things that you need to know about in order to have the best relationships possible. And, this is important because relationships really enhance our lives. Relationships are causes of some of the most profound joy and the most profound sorrow. And another thing is, relationships aren't always easy. We need to know about ourselves. We need to be able to understand another person. And we also need to have time to make it work. But I guarantee you, solid relationships with other people in your life will enhance your life so much. So that's why it's really important to understand these two tips. We're going to break it down to two essential things. Number one, thinking about relationships as an infinite game. And number two, knowing how to end a relationship that isn't working. Number one, relationships are an infinite game. First off, what is an infinite game? An infinite game is one where there are no winners. An infinite game is a game that you like to play just because you like to play. So there's a finite game, where you have 2 hours, 4 hours, maybe a year, and you play this game in order to win. Someone is going to beat the other person, someone is going to emerge victorious. In contrast, we have the concept of the infinite game. The infinite game has no winners or losers. Or you could even look at it this way: everybody wins. In an infinite game, we are helping the other person to manage their stress, manage their skills, have a positive experience, and they're helping us do the same. In an infinite game, there is an exchange of energy that ideally is equal. I mean, it's not always equal at the same time. There are some times when your friend is able to give to you and you need to receive. And there are some times when you're able to give to your friend and they really need to be in the receiving mode. But the net sum is equal and you don't feel depleted or used or sad. You feel the motions of life. You feel the rhythm of your emotions and you experience them with another person who's able to listen to you, who's able to give you feedback, and you do the same for them. Because you don't want to beat them. You don't want to see them suffer, and vice versa. They want to help you to rise. They want to help you to feel better. So I think it's very important to remember, in a solid relationship, it's an infinite game. You don't look to win an argument. You don't look to win all the time. You look to work with someone and collaborate. There are going to be friends in your life who are way better at certain things than you are, and there are going to be people where you're better than them. And ideally this levels out. It's not about just being number one. It's about creating a friendship where you're safe to share your strengths, to share your vulnerabilities, and to grow. All right. Number one, friendship, relationships, marriages are infinite games. The second topic is super important because in order to have positive relationships, we need to be able to leave the ones that aren't good for us, that create chaos, that create sorrow, that leave us feeling drained. And it's subtle because you want the relationship to work. You want to be nice. You don't want to hurt another person. But I'm telling you, if you keep getting hurt or you keep giving anything back without listening or phone calls or texts or kindness, then it isn't a friendship. It isn't a relationship. It may be more wishful thinking. It may be more generosity on your part. And a very important thing is to be able to think about yourself in a relationship. I mean, we're not talking about narcissism here. We're talking about I'm coming to you asking, expecting sort of in a friendship, respect, kindness, and reciprocity. And in that kind of relationship, the sky's the limit. Respect. Respect means your friend, your person in your relationship with, will get back to you, will listen to you, will share with you. You aren't the only one sharing, they aren't the only one sharing. Kindness. Kindness is, sometimes we have to deliver bad news to somebody, but we don't do it in the most cruel way, like, I don't like this. You ruin this. You can't ever do this right. That is so unkind. What you want to convey is that I think this can be done better. I like it when you do this way. There are ways that we can phrase our criticisms, which are necessary, in a kind way. Kindness and respect go a long way. Another very important thing in a relationship is the capacity for intimacy. Our world today, the word intimacy is thrown around all over the place. Intimacy is a fundamental need that we have as humans to be able to share our most vulnerable selves with somebody who's capable of receiving that information. And not everybody is able to receive you when you're being vulnerable. And what I mean when you're being vulnerable is you're being the real you. You're being the stripped down person who you are, without the role playing, like without the job, without the car, without certain relationships. When you are just being who you are. When you're able to be intimate with someone who sees you who you are and just accepts that, boy, is that a wonderful thing. So, in order to know what intimacy is, we need to check what is not intimate in our lives. And these kinds of non intimate relationships rely on status, rely on money, rely on friend groups that you belong to. And while they have their place, you do a little of this, you do a little of that in the world, the true intimacy part is lacking. And it's essential to understand who you are at the core of you, at the end of the day, when you're not at your job, when you don't have all your objects around you. Who are you? Well, maybe you're a curious person. Maybe you're an open person. Maybe you're a person who loves nature. Maybe you're a spiritual person. Maybe you're a scientific person. Maybe you're a highly skeptical person. And the list goes on, but you're allowed to be that. And your friend receives that. And you're there for them to receive their intimate details of who they are. So these are the two keys, you guys. It's an infinite game. Relationships are infinite games. And number two, we need to be able to leave relationships that don't work. There you have it. I can tell you tons of stories how I've learned what intimacy really is. I've been in some toxic relationships and I've learned over time how to move through them, how to get over them, how to end them. One story really sticks out in my mind. When I was a resident doing my second year of residency, I had moved across the country, actually across the ocean, and I was doing my residency in Hawaii. I was pretty brave. I didn't know anybody, but I was so interested in the culture. This was way back 25 plus years ago. I was interested in the cultures, in the magic of the islands, in the diversity of the people in that community and in that hospital. So many people came to that hospital from all over the Pacific, all over the West Coast. But anyway, I was doing my residency. I didn't know anybody there, and I was compelled to learn and be the best resident I could. I moved there and I met somebody, a young woman 1 year ahead of me, who was kind of in the same situation and didn't know anybody. She would call me all the time. She would invite me to her place to dinner, and I would go. Um, she would tell me all about her life and her dreams and why she came to study in Honolulu and what she wanted to do with her career. And I listened, and it was really fun to bond with this person not knowing anybody else. I mean, I had a car and I had the ability to take this person all over the island. And also, I was a pretty good listener. Over time, I realized that, oh my goodness, they don't know much about me and I don't really think they're interested. There was never time to talk about where I was from or what was going on in my world. But anyway, time went on and she needed someone to accompany her and drive her places. And I felt for her because I was also new. However, as soon as she got a group of friends and a boyfriend, she called me up. I mean, really just called me up and said, Priya, I really don't think we can be friends anymore. I've found other people I enjoy being with more than with you. I'm telling you, it was that cold, you guys. I should have recognized the signs earlier when, it was kind of all about them. And I was, going out to places I typically wouldn't want to, but I cared about them. And you know what? I was lonely too. I thought maybe there would be an exchange of energy eventually, but there wasn't. There was just this cold ending. I'm telling you, that really stung. So, what I was able to learn was, in a relationship, you know, is this person listening to me? Do they care? Do they ask where I would like to go out to dinner? And when they have new friends around, do they want to see me? Will they include me? I feel so vulnerable sharing this, but it really happened. And you learn then that, a person, when they want to be your friend, when they're actually interested in who you are, when they see you, they care, they include you. Boy, was that a heck of a lesson. The other thing I'd like to share is how I learned about intimacy. Intimacy was difficult for me. I was, constantly trying to prove myself, trying to be a great student, trying to get into this program, do this academic thing, be this kind of person that was acceptable. So when you drop all of that, you have to come back to who you really are, what makes you happy. I mean, I like nature. I like to hear people's stories. I like animals. I really enjoy fiction and stories and hearing about people's pursuits and what inspires them. But anyway, that's what I like. And I think at the end of the day, if I wasn't doing anything, I'd really be enjoying myself in nature, listening to people and learning about the world. So, not about achieving straight A's or where you go to medical school or where you get into residency or what your job is. At the end of the day, I'd just be very interested listening to people in nature um, and taking care of animals and also good food. So ultimately, I've met somebody who enjoys the same things, but also sees that in me and doesn't need me to be the doctor all the time, doesn't need me to be the expert all the time, doesn't need me to know the answers or to be on top all the time of what's going on. I'm allowed to make mistakes. I'm allowed to take a day off. I'm allowed to sit and listen to the birds. I'm allowed to watch the sunrise. And you know what? People who really appreciate me enjoy this aspect of me and join in on the fun. And I find that to be really intimate time when I can share the things I love with people that I love. And I think that kind of intimacy makes life so good. So at the end of the day, which we're quickly reaching here, I wish all of you infinite relationships and intimacy. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful evening. I will see you soon. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and please subscribe. See you soon. Bye bye.